Hola, 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 mi gente. Let's get right into this. Although I enjoy this part of Haran's track, we got to get the show started. Okay, maybe a few seconds more.
Yeah, because I meant through it. I'm sorry.
All right. Welcome, my beautiful people on this Tuesday. Please, Tuesday. Hola, hola, hola. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it Tuesday, Lily?
God. It's something like that. I'm just laughing at your shirt. I'll tell you why later.
Okay. Well, happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome. Yesterday's show was fucking phenomenal. If you missed yesterday's show, what are you doing with your life right now? What are you doing with your life? We had a special guest yesterday, Tazima Paris, women's, how does she word it? Women's something mentor. There was a word in the middle. Women's something.
Yeah,
women's something.
Is it sex mentor?
Sex. It was something like the intimacy.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. I'm wondering why you guys are fucking super low. You guys can hear me loud and clear?
Mm-hmm.
I am wondering why I can't hear you guys. Hold on. Testing.
YouTube is being communist.
There you go. Perfect. Thank you, Lily. All right, guys. Yeah, a great show yesterday. I mean, great shows all the time. We rarely have I'm not bragging on us, but we rarely have a shitty show. We rarely do. The time we have shitty shows and is kind of when we're winging it, and even that's fun. But we really are. Yeah, we really are, the best, most diverse, entertaining panel on YouTube by far. The shit that we get into up here, Lord Almighty. And I'll start bringing up different guests, like professionals, so we can get different points of view. Because sometimes y'all get sick of just hearing us go back and forth. You guys know you're all welcome. Welcome to On the Block with Jen. I am Jen. Anybody could come up. If you want to hide behind your avatar, we get it. You have to pay for that. Pay at least $10, $20. Throw some chips in the super chat, and we will bring you up. Yeah, because there's a fee to hide. Sorry. We don't mind you hiding, but there's a fee to hide. Now, we prefer your face. You want to show your face, then you come up for free. I'm also letting people out of the blocked jail. If you want to get unblocked because you want to talk your shit, again, it's $10 too. Okay, you can cash at me $10. That's how we're doing it. Because a lot of you,
this is parole.
Yeah, it is parole. A lot of you have been very disrespectful to not only me but the block. Extremely disrespectful, right? But you could put your money where your mouth is. Send me a cash app. It is scrolling there on the bottom, and I'll let you out, and we'll see if you are worthy to pull up to the block again. I've had a couple people do that already, and they're getting along just fine. Are they not? Are they not, Lily? Everybody getting along just fine. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to you got to regroup. We understand. Sometimes we go off too. You know what I mean? But there's a fee to come back here. Okay. This is a privilege, not a right. Do you like my bracelets? My daughter made these for me when she was a wee little girl.
Oh, wow. They lasted?
Yes. Except one of them is getting kind of stretchy. Okay. But since she was tiny, my baby's 30 now, but I'm very sentimental. Like, she made it in school and brought it home like, Mom, we made this in school. And I was like,
Those are my favorite gifts.
These are my little bohemian things. She was like, yeah, she's grown now. So she's like, you still have those? I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's like, don't do me. Don't do
me. Right.
Let me be corny in peace.
Right. Damn well, child. Alrighty, guys. So we are all here. If you're wondering who we are, please check the names. We are all on Instagram. You know how this goes. We are all on Instagram. We are all on YouTube. We all have really great content from our own points of view, from our little corners of the world. Lily, New York. Haran is in St. Louis. No Saint is in New Orleans. No Saint got some gator. Is it gators or crocodiles? No Saint.
No, those are alligators.
Gators. Okay. Well, if you go to Saint No Saint on YouTube, he has some gator videos. He got some New Orleans Gators down there. And then Haran is a musician. That's his music that was playing during the intro. Lily has Lily's Lessons, which I love. She did the first one, and she's also a makeup artist. So follow everyone on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, whichever one is your flavor. I know some people like TikTok more, some people like Instagram more, but we're everywhere. We're very easy to find. And you know me, On the Block with Jen. Okay, very easy. If you want to support the show, help Mama keep the street lights on. Also, Cash App On the Block with Jen. Okay. All right, guys. So let's get into this tonight's topic. Do we have any quick fluff? Because I would like to get in and out of here. So do we have any quick
No,
fluff?
I didn't bring any, but did you bring some? No, Saint?
No, I didn't really. Listen, I wanted to do this yesterday, but we had a guest.
Okay.
So I didn't bring it up. I was just curious because I have my little story of where I remember where I was, but I know 2 out of the 3 of you guys were in New York on 9/11, and I was just curious to hear the stories that you went through. Because for me, I'll just give out mine. It was a pretty significant change. I mean, it's how I ended up meeting Erica, believe it or not, because I had to go over to Afghanistan, and on my way over there is where I first met her. But I remember I was at the fire station. It was my first.
No, see, froze.
When I woke up, it was around. You see me?
Yeah.
Am I still here? Okay.
Yeah.
It was around 6. I was around 6:30 in the morning Pacific time, and there was already one tower in. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, that looks like, I wasn't sure if it was an accident. I was like, that's kind of, and then when I saw the second one, I remember seeing it. I was like, oh shoot, all right. And then I remember thinking to myself, I was like, there was 2 things I thought. How long before those buildings collapse was the first thing I thought. And the second thing was when all that dust came out, I was thinking about asbestos and everything else that was in there as it was, all over these people. And I remember my sergeant told me, pack your bags. He was in general saying, pack your bags, because he knew like we were going to get deployed. He was like automatically like we're getting deployed. So anyway, I just was curious because 2 to 3 of you were in New York, and then you were close to Washington, D.C., about how the experience was for you 3.
Well, go ahead. Well, I was in New York, in the Bronx. I was watching it live on television like a lot of other people. The first one, I was like, that doesn't look right. Like you got this automatic feeling where it didn't look like an accident. And I was only thinking that because there's a whole lot of sky. So it's like, there's a whole lot of sky and you just happen to run into that building. And I know pilots, you know what I mean? They're like captains of the ship, and they're the type of people that it's like, if there's going to be an accident, they don't aim towards where people are. They usually aim away, right? That's just the nature of pilots. So I was like, yeah, that doesn't look right. So I watched the second plane live go in. I didn't watch the replay. I watched it live. When I saw that, instinctively jumped up, went to my daughter's school, instantly went, grabbed her. And when I got there, there was pandemonium. I mean, parents were yelling, give me my kids, give me my kids. I knew the security guard. I looked at him. He looked at me. He was like, I got you. He went inside, grabbed my daughter. I grabbed her, and we hightailed it back to the house, and we were glued to the TV, just like everyone else. And everyone has a 9/11 story. Like I worked at Marcia McLennan. Marcia McLennan was at the World Trade Center. They were also on Avenue of the Americas. I worked there, and my story is basically, they asked a couple of the staff, they were transferring people to the World Trade Center. And they asked a couple of us, do you want to go over there? I declined because I was like, look, I could barely get here in the morning. I am not traveling down a fucking World Trade. But a couple of the other girls went. And it was so funny, not funny, but my friends was like, well, you wouldn't have been a victim of 9/11 because your ass would have been late anyway. And I was like,
facts.
Har. Because they knew I was always late. So they was like, you wouldn't have been there because it was at 9:00 in the morning. I was like, fuck off. But it was sad, but it just goes to show, if you were a New Yorker, how close you were to that situation, right? But that was my story, and I'll pass the mic. I don't want to be long with it.
You want to go, Lily?
Well, for me, during that time, I was actually always up here during that time period. People thought I lived here, but I just left, so I missed the whole New York situation because that happened on a Tuesday and I left Sunday. So I wasn't in New York, but I was in DC. And that morning, I had went out the night before, so I was hungover. And I remember my brother missed the school bus, and because I just moved back in with my mom, and my brother missed the school bus, so she went to take him to school, and then she was gonna come back, and then I was gonna get her car and take her to the train station. So then my phone rang, and my girlfriend that I was out with the night before was like, "Turn the TV on," because the first one had already hit. I turned the TV on and I'm like, what am I watching? What is this? Like, is this a movie? Like, I'm trying to get it all together because I'm not that smart when I first wake up. And then I saw the second one hit, and I was like, whoa. So right at that time, my mom comes back and she has the music blast and she's like, hey, come on, I gotta go to work. I'm like, girl, you ain't going nowhere. Get in this house. And she was like, I'm about to be late. Come on. And I'm like, no, you come in the house. And yeah, it was just like you say, it was pandemonium from that point on. My mom actually worked for Homeland Security at the time. And my stepfather worked right near the Pentagon. So he was actually on the highway. He didn't see the plane, but it was just a lot of pandemonium by the Pentagon. So it was a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in college at the time. I was in LIU. It's right across the Brooklyn Bridge. So a lot of people were walking from the site over the bridge. And I was watching some of it on television, and something told me to get up and just go to the next building. I don't know what it was. Maybe I wanted to just ponder what was happening. And I went over to the other building on campus, and I sit down, and maybe 5 seconds later, one of my closest friends, his pregnant wife, who was working on, in the area in the towers, and she was walking over the bridge. She comes in, she's just covered in soot, and she's looking bewildered. And I was like, oh shit, did I say her name? And she literally just falls into my arms and just starts crying. And like for the rest of the day, I just like basically tended to her. I didn't, it was an emotional situation, a shocking situation. My whole thought is like, I don't want this woman to have a miscarriage or whatever, or something to that effect. And I tended to her, tended to a couple of other people who were frantic. I had to keep it together. And I think I helped walk her home because there were no buses going anywhere. Nobody was going anywhere. So we had to walk to like the other side of fucking Brooklyn. You know what I mean? And this pregnant woman. And I had to make sure she was good, and pretty much I really didn't have the time to really take everything in. I was just tending to so many people, making sure that they were good, man.
Yeah. When I saw it, I was like, damn, they got us, man. I didn't know who they were yet, but my initial, I was like, they got us, boy, they got us good. Cause I know, well, not the exact number, but I know there were thousands of people in the World Trade. I said, shit. And when they said, I think 5 other planes were missing or something, I said, oh, fuck, we fucked. And then, even being in the Bronx, of course, automatically you think logically, they're going to try to hit main places, Washington, D.C., the Pentagon. That's how you think. They're not thinking about the South Bronx, right? That's not, but you just still don't know. It's like the planes are missing. Where are they headed, right? And we saw the, no, Saint, you probably know the name of them. What are those jets, the Army jets that go up that are like shaped like that?
Oh, like the stealth you're talking about? You're talking about the stealth?
Is it the stealth? Is it the stealth bomb? I don't know, but they were like flying overhead.
Well, that could have been F-15s, F-16s.
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was one of those because I heard the guys like in the street talking about it.
Yeah,
and that was the first time I'd ever seen those planes fly overhead, like in the Bronx. Right? Usually see that at an air show, but it was so powerful. Like they were like going like back and forth, and I was like, "Holy, we're in the middle of a fucking what is happening?" But it was so powerful, and I was like, "Oh shit, the U.S. it's about to be a fucking war. And I'd never seen anything like that. You know how big those things are, how powerful they are when the
Yeah.
noise, when they go by, it's like, oh, what's happening? And
Yeah.
I was, the only thing I panicked about a little bit was like when they said there were planes missing. No one knew where those planes were. And I was like, they're gonna crash in the shit. Where are we? Because I was home huddled with my daughter and just taken aback, like the whole world. I think everybody was frozen. And then aftermath, I went down to ground zero, and like smoke and steam was still coming out of the, you know what I mean, the wreckage. And the news was out there, and it became a tourist attraction. And the firemen was so like, I mean, they just had that 1,000-yard stare, man. And they were exhausted and just broken. And it was a horrible sight. Like, just to know that was people's final resting place, and there was children in there, and it's horrific. Just, I was like, they got us, boy. They got us good with that one. You can't deny it. It's horrible. So.
Yeah. Another, yeah. So it was crazy because like my thought, and I was thinking, it was interesting because I had just gotten out of some of the classes in fire school and stuff. So that's why my mind was going like, okay, there's only so much time before, and I had no idea. I really had no idea because I don't know how those buildings are actually built, what they can withstand. But I just know that buildings collapse, after fire, eventually a building collapsed. So I was just like, and then when it happened, of course, I mean, yeah, it was surreal. It was definitely surreal to see all that happening. And, but yeah, it was it's one of those things you never forget it. You never forget. It's like, I guess some of the people before us that used to talk about stuff that, I never forget the day, we're all like, okay.
Yeah, I was like, wow, we're literally in the middle of like American history. This shit is crazy. Like we saw it. We'll be that grandparent that is like, oh, grandma, you were there. Yeah.
But you know what's crazy? There was a couple of things. I kind of got my thought back of what I want to say. There's two things. I remember like days after that, even back then I was thinking to myself, that's ridiculous. Because like there was, I guess one of the plans was to take prop planes and fill it with some kind of a poison or something and spread it over cities or something like that. And in one of them, and I was living in Sacramento, and they were talking about doing it in Sacramento. And I remember like, I don't know what news channel was saying, okay, get duct tape and put it over your windows. And people started panicking. I'm thinking to myself, wait up. I live in Sacramento. What's the chances they're going to come over this house? I'm like, it's kind of ridiculous. I'm not going to go get tape and tape up my windows. I mean, that sounds dumb, but people were in a panic. The other thing is, Haran, you might remember, well, you might or you might not, but it was one of the first times I remember seeing a meme that kind of went viral, and it was of the guy standing on the World Trade Center taking a picture like a tourist, and there was like a jet airplane coming for him, coming from behind. And the thing was, he had like, you knew it wasn't real. Well, people started pointing out like he had like cold weather gear on and stuff, and it's in the middle of like September, you know what I mean? But it was like, and then so the next one that went around was like, this guy gets around, and it showed the same picture of the guy on the moon. He was with Hitler in the bunker. I mean,
I don't remember that shit like that. Anyway, the funny thing though.
Yeah, let's wrap it up on the fluff so we can get in a story, because people are wondering.
Yeah, the one thing that really brought it all into perspective is that the child that she was pregnant with, this kid's working on her bachelor's degree now.
All right, hey,
let's go. But anyway, moving right along. Let's go.
All right. So tonight's topic: Tyrese denies DJ Envy's claim actor was disrespectful to his wife. If you guys have been following this celebrity gossip, or maybe you haven't, DJ Envy, a DJ on The Breakfast Club, okay? He's now I would say a gossip head, right? They do gossip over there on The Breakfast Club. So DJ Envy was interviewing Tyrese along with Charlemagne. I don't call him the God. He's a creep to me.
I
But
call her Charmaine the Goddess.
okay, Charmaine the Goddess. I'll take that. So they were interviewing Tyrese, and there was a very awkward moment where DJ Envy decided to air out some private business because we weren't privy to it. We don't know what happens with these celebrities behind the scenes, but apparently DJ Envy decided to tell Tyrese, yeah, you disrespected my wife via text, and that's why we stopped fucking with you, and it was enough for me to box you in the mouth. That was the exact quote. He said, I was going to box you in the mouth. Now, here's what's hilarious about DJ Envy. He is definitely the most sloped shoulder, beige, concave chest Negro I've ever seen act like he's a gangster. I don't
False.
understand. DJ Envy really talks like he's that dude from the street, and he's about it, where he can say on air in front of cameras, okay, I was gonna box you in the mouth, right? Now, I'm a boxing fan, as many of you. And if DJ Envy and Tyrese were in a ring, yeah, I'm putting all my chips on Tyrese.
Especially, and I'm gonna make sure Tyrese don't take his meds that day.
Yeah.
Tyrese also from Watts. I have a feeling he didn't been in a few scrapes. Envy.
Yeah. And I'm not even saying that because he's from Watts, because you could be from the hood and be, baby shit soft. I'm not saying
Absolutely.
that because, and Tyrese is very far removed from Watts. Very, very far removed.
That is about a good 8 Fast and Furious movies removed from Watts.
Yeah, remember when he got on that bus singing the Coca-Cola, he was quite young.
Right. Can we put that back on the back of that bus, please?
That is a point.
So I'm saying it because just physically, Tyrese would be a problem for DJ Envy. Okay, DJ Envy has my shoulder span. Start there. Start there, and he sits like this. I'm just saying.
Tyrese still keeps in shape, right? He still keeps in.
Yeah, he does. Mm-hmm.
Yes, you know what I mean. Tyrese has always been fit, so I'm just saying it from that point of view, where he can just so brazenly say, yeah, I was going to box you in the mouth. And he said it as if there would be no repercussions. That's what I found curious. I was like, okay. And Tyrese looked thrown off by the comment. He was like, box me in the mouth, like disrespect. Like, when did I disrespect you? But then Tyrese went on to say, he has mental health issues and he was on medication, blah, blah. And then he was kind of pleading his case with Charlemagne, saying, have you ever dealt with someone who was off their meds or whatever, drunk? People say shit when they're drunk, whatever. You've done it. And he was like, yeah, I understand, whatever. So fast forward, Fast and Furious, Tyrese decided, I guess it was bothering him, as he said, I think yesterday or today, he went live on Instagram and he started looking in his iMessage, and he was reading the text messages between him and DJ Envy's wife and DJ Envy, saying, look, there's no disrespect here. There's no disrespect. He was reading the text, and people were like, well, why didn't you say something on the Breakfast Club? Why did you say? And he was like, because I was in the middle of an interview and I was going to open up my phone and start looking for text messages from August. But as you can see, I'm not even blocked, right? And he was saying that DJ Envy was saying that he was blocked. That's why me and my wife blocked you. Here's the thing. I see someone backstage, darling. If you want to stay behind your avatar, you have to super chat. If you want to show your face, I'll pull you up for free. We'd love to have you up here, but I can't see you. So either you throw some chips in the super chat or you show us your lovely face.
Question. Didn't DJ Envy say he had just unblocked them because right before the show or a couple of days before the show, because somebody convinced them to unblock them for whatever reason?
Okay, so he was unblocked. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. So Tyrese said that they had spoke last August 22nd and 23rd, something like that. So Tyrese was like, hey, wait a minute. You guys, DJ Envy was all down my throat on the Breakfast Club. But look, there's no disrespect here. So I guess he's like, and then he got receipts, right? That's what he was saying. He had the receipts to the situation. He was like, he just wanted to clear his name because he would never disrespect somebody's wife and blah, blah. Here's the thing. And some people will be like, no, not sure. DJ Envy and his wife are clowns. They're clowns. You could quote me on that. They're clowns. And here's why I say they're clowns. They made a mockery of their marriage publicly. a mockery, a full-blown mockery. And then they went on a tour to explain why DJ Envy was worthy of still keeping his wife, and they had to throw God in it, right? Because if you throw Jesus and God and forgiveness in it, right, then you're like, oh, you're not a dumb bitch. It's religion. And if Jesus forgives and God forgives, then you could forgive, and it makes sense, right? It's the buffer to a lot of stupidity religion is. Run tell that. I don't care. But religion is the buffer for a lot of stupidity. But he beat your ass. He cheated on you. I can't break the family. We don't believe in divorce because of our religion. So according to DJ Envy's wife, she is claiming she didn't get divorced from him because, God and Jesus, and she wrote her little book, and she went to the Breakfast Club, and she spoke about how Tyrese was the savior of their marriage, and Jesus. Tyrese and Jesus helped their marriage stay together, right? And she was saying
That's
that,
usually who I call on. Is
right?
Tyrese
Tyrese
and
or Jesus. Tyrese or
Mhm.
Jesus. They'll get it done. So she was basically saying, Tyrese was on a flight, and the melodrama with these people. He was on a
Oh, love
flight,
it.
and Jesus called to him and said that he should be the designated person to save the marriage of DJ Envy and his wife. So he got on a flight, and he traveled to them, and he was saying that they can't get divorced. They got to work it out. And Jesus and God, this, and that's when he had cheated with Erica Mena, and Erica Mena made sure to tell the world, right? Because that's why we love Erica, right? She's gonna let the world know what's going on. But Erica Mena had cheated with DJ Envy and blasted it to the world. And then, as you guys know, DJ Envy apologized publicly to his wife on the Breakfast Club and started calling Erica all kinds of shit. I was like, too late. You smashed it. You wanted it. And I hate when men like go through that whole thing and then try to throw that woman under the bus to save their relationship. If your wife was all that, right? Because he was like, oh, I would never, and my wife is this, and Erica Mena is a piece of garbage, and I would no, your wife is a piece of garbage as well, because she wasn't worthy of you being loyal and faithful, right? But what men do is try to make the mistress like, oh, she's a nobody, but she was enough, right, to make you not only break your vows, but have you up here like a clown apologizing to your wife, and you guys think Jesus will clean it up. No, y'all are
Hold
clowns.
on.
Y'all are clowns to me.
He took vows.
Say again?
He took vows.
He took vows. Yes, he did.
So he couldn't have cheated
Oh, how so?
because he took vows. Isn't that what
Yeah.
they're like? I'm confused.
Right. Yeah. You take vows, that means you'll never cheat.
I remember Tyrese had a bit of a breakdown when he was when he got into his feelings when The Rock had his spin-off movie, this Fast and Furious spin-off movie. He got way into his feelings, man, and he started telling people how he takes steroids and shit like that. He was just going in, and I was just saying to myself, like, Dwayne is like 6'5", all muscle, bro. I don't know if you really want these kind of problems. You gonna be like, you're gonna be like Jody and Baby Boy. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not that kind of situation. But he has a history of just, I guess, losing it online now. You know what I mean? Whether he's talking about his child's mother, whether he's talking about his current situation, child support, you know what I mean? He's constantly breaking down and crying. And I don't know, man. It's put it this way. I learned a lot about him I just really didn't need to know about.
There are he does have a lot of displays of public mental breakdowns. I used to think that they were, publicity stunts, right? Because a lot of these celebrities are doing all kinds of wild publicity stunts to stay in the algorithm. But then the more often he did them, I was like, okay, he's a weirdo, right? I wouldn't even say that he's an asshole mentally. He's just a weirdo. Some motherfuckers are weird. As you guys know, we've met a lot of people in this business, and they turned out to be real fucking weirdos in person, right? And during conversations, we're like, you're a fucking weirdo, right? But they either have great music or great films or whatever. Michael Jackson was a fucking weirdo. Great music. He was a fucking weirdo, right? A lot of them are weirdos. A lot of people in entertainment come from a very sordid past, whether it's abuse, whether it's abandonment, whether it's something, and then we turn our pain into art and that type of shit. And that usually results in, you know what I mean, big stars, right? Because everybody's broken and torn, and we have to turn it, into the art. I'll just express myself through art. And I wouldn't be surprised if something way, way, way back happened to Tyrese before he was that Watts dude. Maybe in his childhood something traumatic happened, because he's not well. He's obviously not well. He's a weirdo, right? So, but going back to DJ Envy and his wife, I feel like this, right? If you're going to go public with what a circus your marriage is, expect people to be disrespectful, right? You guys are setting the precedent. You're setting the vibe for your marriage and how people view you. Now, it's another thing if you guys are completely private, say like a Marjorie Harvey or Steve Harvey, and you guys are constantly being attacked, or your wife is constantly being attacked, right? That's different. But you and your wife made a mockery of your marriage, right? And again, as you can see with DJ Envy airing that out, because he could have called Tyrese. He could have texted Tyrese and been like, I'm not fucking with you. And if you disrespect my wife again, I'll box your mouth, right? But he decided to say that in public. And that's why I call DJ Envy a clown. I'm surprised no one shut his mouth yet real good. I'm surprised, because he's real reckless with his language.
He's bitchy.
Yeah,
In my opinion, he's very bitchy, which is one of the reasons why, and he's one of those guys that just won't let things go. He just holds on and holds on and holds on to stuff, because he was clearly holding on to this until he got onto the radio, right? But I like how his wife held on to some shit too. If y'all remember her get back, she publicly let the world know after he cheated. They were on some type of black love show, and she publicly on the show let the world know that he has never made her orgasm, that sex was whack with him.
Right.
And he could even hide it, that was the first time he heard this information. So he must thought he was doing
He did
something,
appear very
right?
stoic. I don't know if he was just dealing with it, or he was just, like you said, it's not the first time he heard that. So
he was giving you turtle.
Yeah,
he was just like,
yeah.
That's how he sits on the show. Like, I can't stand it.
So, like, it was given all of those things. So with Tyrese, it's layered. This is multi-layered with Tyrese. I've been following a lot of his stuff too. And what you said, Jen, is exactly how I felt. Like when they first started doing it, I was thinking it was publicity stunts, because around that time, that's when a lot of people just started doing a bunch of dumb things online. Celebrities, we were used to regular people, but celebrities in general started to kind of crawl down into the mud with the influencers and things like that to get their stuff up. So I thought that's what it was. I paid it no attention, but I have been around mental illness a lot throughout my life, so I've seen it. And then after a while, I started to see the crazy eyes. I was like, oh, yeah, nope. And the other thing too, he does the thing of in and out of sanity. Somewhat sanity, because he's never really fully sane, but he will make a little bit of sense, and then he'll go back to just being sporadic, and then go back to making a little bit of sense. And I'm like, oh, he's manic. Those are manic episodes. So I do believe that there are manic episodes, but there were people who were questioning his mental illness, or his using that as a cop out, because that's what they were accusing him of on the show. Because when DJ Envy confronted him, he was like, oh, I don't remember any of it. I don't remember anything, because I was in a manic episode during that particular time. Now, I've talked to people who, once they've come out of manic episodes, some say they remember, some say they don't. So it could be either way. But to me, it was very disingenuous on DJ Envy's part, for sure.
I think they're both disingenuous human beings, right? Like Tyrese has these episodes on his Instagram where he's going through a bitter divorce, and he went online and wanted like all the black people to show up to the court to go against the judge, because he didn't like how the judge was handling the case. So he was calling out to Black Lives Matter and black people. He wanted them to show up in court to fight.
I had to work
this judge.
I had
Wait
to
a
work
minute.
that
The
morning.
nigga said the nigga basically saying he a freedom fighter. Like that's what he
Yeah,
was saying.
yeah, he wanted, yeah, because he didn't like the way the judge was handling the case, and he wanted
You
the
wasn't
judge
gonna
off the
go?
case.
You
Everybody's a
wasn't gonna
political.
go, Haran?
Yeah,
You
What
wasn't gonna
yeah.
go, Haran?
Oh no, I went to go to watch The Equalizer that day.
Oh
So
wow,
it's
yeah, I had to
kind of
work.
like you know, a lot of these people who are not well now, they have a stage, and but it reminds me of, listen, I'm from New York, and it just reminds me of getting on the 4 train for work and coming home from work. There were a lot of nutty people on the subway, and now there's a lot of nutty people with webcams, but it's the same exact environment, it's the same exact behavior. And with Tyrese, you know, he's crying online, he's doing the manic episodes, the bipolar thing. He shouldn't be online. He shouldn't even. It's weird. It's weird, man. No, Saint, what say you?
Well, it's a little bit interesting. I mean, I'm not too familiar with the whole story, so it's kind of I'm kind of sitting back and listening, but yeah, I'm having a hard time coming up because I'm not real familiar with the story. Unfortunately, I was
Okay.
driving when the topic came up, so
Okay, no problem. So, you know, going back to the couple, DJ NB and his wife, um, Tyrese inserted himself into the problems of that marriage, right? They accepted his help, right? Because at that point, she's trying to justify that this dude's been fucking around forever, right? Now, I'm sure she knew that he was fucking around forever, but he happened to fuck around with Erica Mena, and she's a public figure, and Erica Mena's gonna let you know who she's fucking, right? So
Well, yeah,
he messed up that time. He messed up that time, right? But they let Tyrese into the marriage, and Tyrese was all in good to be attached to their marriage when their divorce, when they changed their mind on their divorce. Then it was all about, oh, Tyrese helped us and Jesus helped us. It was all good. And then Tyrese was saying on the show, you guys didn't help me when I was going through my blah, 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 right? But it's like, I wouldn't get involved in anything Tyrese said. He's a nut. So it's like, you just gotta, but they let him into that marriage. They made him the savior of that marriage. Like when I saw her doing the interview on how involved Tyrese was and how this was his calling to keep them together, I'm like, no, bitch, DJ, everybody, listen, we know our spouse, we know our partners. Okay. She knows that man was out there doing whatever he wanted to do with whoever he wanted to do it with. They've been married for decades. She knew what was up. He just fucked the wrong one. And that's what men do sometimes. Sometimes you fuck the wrong one. It's like, oh, shit, I fucked the one that talks. Right. And that's what happened.
So Tyrese was being accused of dirty macking, but no proof, that definitive proof was provided.
Not dirty macking, being disrespectful, like in a rant.
like an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
like an asshole.
Was that
Right.
provided? Was any proof provided
No.
by Envy or
No.
anyone? So
No,
Envy was
Tyrese.
most likely talking out his fucking ass per usual.
Right, Tyrese brought receipts to prove that he didn't. He showed the conversations, but Envy didn't bring any type of anything to substantiate what he was saying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Of course he
Hey,
didn't.
Mickey.
Yeah.
Hello, Mickey.
And you know
Jeesbro.
what? I noticed celebrities do this thing. So y'all notice this? When a celebrity is up, their star is up, maybe like Fast and Furious was about to come out at that time or something, and then they will include somebody in the story that in some random story that we don't need because their star is up at that particular time, but you fast forward to last week and Tyrese's star is not up anymore, and so it's like he's really not that important anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then like you were saying, based off of the receipts that he was showing, the text thread that he was showing, it was giving more like Envy's wife was kind of blowing him off, like maybe they got sick of him, because I mean we get sick of him.
I mean,
So
he gives bugaboo. He gives bugaboo
Right.
energy. Like he
Right.
bugs a lot because when the receipts he did show, there was a lot of text on his side. And then she would say something like, he was like, yeah, I told him my boy, I was talking to them. He claimed he was talking to them in group text and also talking to her individually by themselves, which I find strange. Like, why are you talking to her? Whatever. That's whatever. So it seemed like in the text messages, he was saying a lot. And then he was like, oh, I just bought this island in Turks and Caicos. Turks and Caicos is beautiful, by the way. He was like, I just bought this island in Turks and Caicos. And then, he's talking about the island. And then her text will say, absolutely beautiful. And then he'll go off. He seems like the type that talks a lot in general. We know guys like that. They just talk and talk and talk and talk, talk and talk and talk, 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 talk. And after a while, you just like, okay, yeah, okay, cool. And then you just get yourself off the phone with them, right? Some people talk a lot, like rapid fire, like there's no breathing. And probably Tyrese, because he has mental health issues, those episodes, maybe he needs a lot of, what I mean? He's very stimulated, right? So, I just, this whole thing, like, I'm wondering how DJ Envy is going to respond to this. And Tyrese said, you just wanted to go viral. That's why you said what you said. He was like, box me in the mouth, key, you know what I mean? Whatever. I just thought that, I don't know what DJ Envy is doing. He just got out of a beef with Rick Ross. And, Tyrese did throw a jab. He was like, in other words, you got bigger fish to fry than me. You got some serious issues going on. And, he's got that court case with the fraud and all of that. So he made mention of that. He threw that jab. He was like, you got bigger issues than me. You know what I mean? But I forgive you. And I forgive your wife or whatever. Do you guys think that DJ Envy will respond?
I think right now, honestly, I think right now Envy is doing damn near anything to take the eyeballs off of what he's actually going through right now. I think I think now thinking about it, the fact that he didn't bring anything to the forefront, I'm wondering if that was all just a ruse, just a distraction, because he really has a lot going on right now.
Yeah,
and in addition to that,
and a lot of kids to feed.
That too, and that's the point I was about to make. In addition to that, Breakfast Club ratings have been dropping and tanking over the years, which a lot of people are surprised that the show's still on. Let's keep it a buck, right? It's really
I think that's why they switched to that podcast format. I think that's why they switched to that.
Yep, exactly. So
they switched to a podcast format because I literally don't even fuck with it like that. Like I used to.
Well, I only see things like this, like when they go viral for stupid shit like this. And so I noticed that the format was different. And I was like, I started noticing, and I'm like, oh, okay, is that what you're trying to do? Because this one, I don't know why it's even still here, because there's really no need for it anymore, for real. Because this is the thing about shows like that. When you're doing a commentary show, and then you get people like them. Because you remember when they first started, Charlemagne was reckless. Then Charlemagne became Hollywood. He started rubbing noses with Hollywood. Once you start rubbing noses with these people, you can't be truthful anymore. You can't be real anymore and still come and talk about these people. You just can't do it. I mean, I don't care how mature your celebrity quote unquote friends are. They don't want you going, like, hanging out with them and then going back to your job, and because they don't know what you're going to tell if you start doing that. Right. So I noticed that Charlemagne, he was the punch. He was really what made Breakfast Club for real. It was his ability to just say whatever he needed to say. Then he started getting in good with the celebrities, and then it started going downhill. So I'm feeling like DJ Envy feels like he needs to pick up the slack at this point, because they're on their last leg. I don't know when they have to renegotiate their contracts again, but that might be coming up. We don't know if the contract renewals are coming up.
I'd like to know what Wilkin Tisdale, can you elaborate? You said, I think Gia was out of pocket. Gia is DJ Envy's wife. That's her name. Can you elaborate on that? What part do you think she was out of pocket? They just seem like a very like, what do you call those people? Like, they're corny couple to me. Like, they're corny. Like, she tries to act very self-righteous and holier than thou. And it's like, I'm above it all. No, you're a chick who pushed babies out for him, didn't pursue anything. So now it's like, you have to die on that hill. You have to die on that hill, right? You have to run around in your Versace and look like, oh, look at me and Mrs. DJ Envy. He fucking humiliated you in front of the fucking world. Okay, with Erica Mena of all people. And then he tried to do Damage Control. Like, it's like, you're not, in my opinion, not that good. And it's not a thing of like, oh, well, everybody makes mistakes. That's not a fucking mistake. It was a decision. It was a decision, right? And I think if you are the type to run around on your wife, for you to pick Erica Mena, you a stupid bitch.
For real,
Stupid bitch.
because Erica tell you every time she have her period.
Yes.
So now my question is this: how do you all feel about, because I mean he's even admitted, so it's not even allegedly, with Tyrese having mental illness and having manic episodes and things like that. Like the first thing I'm wondering is who's around him. Why does he's like, what's going on? Um, like, but then the other part of me knows how this kind of works,
Mhm.
and there are laws to protect them to be crazy. So you can't just like, hey, my friend's crazy, can you come get him? It's like, so it's like, I don't know. I mean, I go back and forth with that. I wonder, do we have like real people around him? And if so, what have they tried to do, if they, or have they been able to do anything
Well,
to
also
keep him
he's
from embarrassing himself?
yeah, also, he's a multimillionaire. He's a huge celebrity. Whether I think he's corny or not, he's a huge celebrity because of Fast and the Furious franchise. Okay, that's global. Fast and Furious is global. He may not be everybody's favorite. Maybe, you know what I mean, Dom is, right? But it's global. He was in Transformers, that's global. So there's not going to be a lot of reeling in or tapping him on the shoulder, right? It's going to be a lot of yes people around him, and maybe he got a couple of friends that'll be like, "Hey, chill." But he's Tyrese, right? And he's been Tyrese again for many, many years. So he's that dude in his head, right? He's that dude. And we see this happen with a lot of celebrities where it's like, who are your friends? Where are your friends? But if you watch the Kevin Hart documentary on Netflix, I think it was 4 episodes, that man is untouchable.
Yeah.
He's just like, he doesn't even like converse with people. He's talking at people throughout the thing. 4 fucking episodes straight, you know what I mean? Telling people they ain't shit. And you know what I mean? Literally, no, I'm not kidding.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
he had a huge arc. Okay. Just so people know, I'm not just talking shit.
no.
But he talks at people and he knows he's the power, right? People come ask him for money and he was like, why are you asking me? He's that type of guy. So anybody in that position is already going to be used to it's my way or the highway. You know what I mean? It's not about the team, is what I think is best, right? And he's had a lot of money for a long time. So Wilkin Tisdale said she was texting Tyrese at 3 a.m. while next to DJ Envy in bed. I think I will say it did raise my eyebrow when I was like, when Tyrese made it clear that he would text them in a group text and also text her, personally. They were going back and forth. So I'm like, it sounds like a close friend, but then the way, DJ Envy talked about him was like, you was an acquaintance that just inserted yourself in a marriage that was crumbling and helped us out, but now we don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
Like they didn't look like he didn't make it sound like they were close. Like, yo, you was my dude.
No,
It didn't sound like that.
That's the point I'm making. What it sounded like to me was, like I said, Tyrese was big at the time, and it was just something to throw out, name drop, right? It was like, oh, and Tyrese even called to help, right? But now that he's not big, it's like, oh, you was just somebody who inserted yourself. We all know that's how they do in Hollywood. Like, we've seen it. We have seen people star go up and down, and how shameless people are. When someone's star is up, they will be all in your face and, oh my God, you're the best, you're the best, best. And then soon as your star comes down, they're like, who? Oh, I don't know you. And then it'll go back up and they're like, hey girl, what you want to do? Like, they are shameless in Hollywood.
And she probably used his name, Lily, to sell the book, because remember, she was running around with her little,
pamphlet.
Oh my God. The books these motherfuckers write every time. They like, oh, look, I got cheated on and I'm gonna show you how you can cope with getting cheated on. That type of shit, right? Throw a little Jesus, sprinkle a little Jesus in there. But she was using Tyrese's name a lot. Like, I literally associated their divorce with Tyrese, because she wasn't talking about it. She talked about Jesus, and she talked about how Tyrese got on a flight and went running to their home and said, no, you mustn't get divorced. You mustn't get divorced. And then Tyrese was like, nobody reached out to me when I was going through my divorce. And I'm like, probably because they weren't selling a book at that time.
I've never experienced that degree of freedom and power that you would say Tyrese has.
Mhm.
However, people who have that and more, I would assume that although it feels very freeing, that could also be very shackling. You can also encase yourself in the prison, because when
Mm.
you reach to a certain level, almost everyone around you is on payroll.
Yeah.
So if everyone around you is on payroll, you're not getting the truth. You're not going to get the truth. And the people the people that truly fuck with you in the beginning, they're not going to be around you because they don't fuck with those kind of people. So it's just like they kind of die off, or they, go off and do their own thing. So you're just surrounded by people who are just enabling your passions and enabling your appetites. And that's
Mhm.
not good. That's not good.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Wilkin seems to have the tea. He says both DJ Envy and Gia are not honest. This whole situation is crazy. Here's the thing, sir. I believe you because I've seen how they move. They really are like um in the Bronx Zoo, right? I went to the zoo one time. Just follow me, Lily. I went to an
It sounds right already, but go on.
Okay, I went to this little enclosure where they had like different animals. They had my little monkeys over there, whatever, the little croc that doesn't move. And then they had a window with a glass, a special cat. That was the name of the cat. Special cat. I don't know what breed it was or whatever. It was a glass enclosure. So I was like, oh, this must be some kind of exotic cat because it says special cat, literally says special cat. And it was a running joke in my family forever. The cat sat there like this.
Well, in that case, Brooklyn is special.
Right. So I was like, oh my God, this is like a special cat. Why is he was sitting there like this? And that's how DJ Envy's wife and DJ Envy sit around at every interview, like they're special cats. Like, who do y'all think you are? So I believe that first of all, DJ Envy is he's a fucking phony, right? So I believe that there's more to the story. I think Tyrese was holding back because you could tell like he would throw a little jab and then he would like, reel it back in. Like he would be like, I was in a group chat and I was talking to her, right? Just me and her too. But anyway, and I was like, there's more to this story. And how many times have I said when you cheat on a woman, she's no longer the bitch you married. She's a new bitch who resents you and will fuck with you at every turn, though she will keep the marriage because you're providing a lifestyle. I've said that over and over again. Men think they cheat on women and they're going home to the same bitch. That's a new bitch. She hates you to the core, but there's too much at stake. And this bitch likes her Versace. She pushed out about 6 or 7 kids. Gia is not going anywhere.
She's not.
She's not
She is
going
not.
anywhere. It looks too cute. She dresses the entire family, including DJ Envy, in the same bathing suits, in the same outfits.
Oh.
Tyrese,
Lily, their vacation pictures, all of them from DJ Envy all the way down to the infant, they're all in the same outfit. Bathing suits, same bathing suits. That is what she does in her spare time.
Their light skin loving is
a Stephen King movie. Like, what the fuck is
their light skin loving is worse than the Currys to me. It's a wrap. Like,
no, for sure worse. No, for sure worse.
I think Tyrese purposely told that man he was privately speaking with his wife. He needed to poke at that man.
Yeah.
He needed to poke at him. That was some passive aggressive shit. Be like, because me and her, we was talking privately too. That was.
And if I look like Envy, I would be pissed if my wife was talking to a Tyrese by herself. Like,
but that's how she's gonna move because of what he did. Ain't no woman on planet Earth, okay? Very rarely. You'd have to be. Listen, to be humiliated like she was, and then Erica Mena made a big deal about it. I mean, exposed the pillow talking and all kinds of shit. Like, that woman she is not going to take that on the chin with a Jesus or without a Jesus.
Right. Like,
I mean, she went public and told the world he can't give her an orgasm.
Yeah, I don't know. I just wonder if that's true, or is that something she just threw out? I mean, it could be true, or it could just be something she's throwing out there too, just to humiliate him. But
I mean, I thought that too. I was like, what? I mean, I thought that too. No saying, because I was like, what's the purpose? Like, what was the purpose?
other than
behind
humiliate
that?
him, right?
Right. Like, what's the purpose?
Right.
So you have how many children with this man? Been together how many years, and you've never had an orgasm?
And I
Right.
mean, to be honest with you, that would be on her, because if she hadn't discussed it before then, you know, she could have said, "Hey, it ain't doing it for me," and discuss, you know, how the guy could help her to achieve that. You know, it could have been some honesty if that was the truth. You know, I mean, that's
Well,
what I'm
yeah.
saying. Just to let it slide, and then to pop out on the radio to say it like that.
Yeah, that's true too. Why not discuss it? Because he did look like, did she just say what I think she said?
Yes.
Dick don't work, bro.
Right. But I mean, was anybody
I mean,
surprised?
that's almost the same thing as saying, "Oh, well, his dick's not big enough," or something like that. You know,
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
But like, what woman does that on air? Like,
Mhm.
most women are uncomfortable with having the private conversation like that with their
Right.
husband. She waited till they got on the Oprah network to say this.
And how did she, does anyone remember exactly what she said, or are we gonna pull it up? Because I'm just curious as to exactly what she said. I'm just curious.
I just remember the gist of it was that she never had an orgasm with him. The exact quote, I don't remember.
Okay.
remember, but I'm pretty sure JB says one of her girlfriends should have sent her a good vibrator. I'm pretty sure one of them did for Christmas because they know it all.
Right.
Yeah, they know it all.
So this is them, literally multiple pictures on her Instagram. She dresses
Oh,
the entire family in the same outfits every time they go anywhere.
that's weird.
But when you don't have a life of your own and you pushed out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids for a man, you know, maybe getting outfits that's a lot of work, Lily. Getting
That
outfits for
is
7, 8 people, including herself, that all match is a lot of work every time you guys go out. Can you imagine their closets?
that's ridiculous.
I
Man.
could. She wakes up in the morning. Are we wearing peach or red today, guys? Come
I
on,
can
mommy
literally
has
see
to
her
know.
saying it just like that too.
I couldn't live in no fucking house like that.
No.
Guys, it's Tuesday. We wear green on Tuesdays.
Her boob and BBL, like, it looks
Combo.
off like the rest of her body. Like, her arms are mad skinny and the
Yeah.
boob job is huge. I don't know, maybe it's the angle of the photo I'm looking at. Does
No,
she
no,
have
no.
those images?
No, because I've seen her on the red carpet, and she's like shaped like a pea, like she turns it aside. So the BBL was a bit much, but she paid for it. She likes it. I love it.
Okay. Well, hey.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
look up because I'm really curious about that. I'm really curious about that. Orgasm.
Yeah. I know, right? I just remember I wish I could remember the exact
All fight in
quote.
the chat.
Huh?
Yeah, it's been a whole
It's a
fight
ball
tonight.
fight in the chat.
Yeah,
Anyway,
they having a bar fight on the block.
They not getting along. They're not getting along on the block.
It's okay. They'll figure it out.
That's
They'll figure it out. They'll figure it out.
What's up, Alim Negro Papi? How are you? She's really controlling and weird. Yeah, and she comes off that way. Like, I know she tries to come off like very smart and, you know what I mean, holier than thou and self-righteous, but you could see right through it. That's all I was like.
Somebody mentioned the fact that Charlemagne Megan Sean said, "We're fine." Fake smile. Because he's been in there fighting all night. So they're hilarious. I love our people. What the fuck was I about to say? Damn it.
Okay,
I
so I
don't know.
got it right here. Let's see what
Okay,
this
I'll
lady had
figure it
to
out.
say. I got it. So here we go. DJ Envy's wife, Gia Casey, faked orgasms for 10 years of their marriage. I didn't know my own body. Well, that goes back to what you said, No Saints. Because I don't, I know I've heard women really quickly say, "Oh, I've never come." I'm like, then you don't know your vagina, right? How could you involve yourself in sex for 10 years, right? Let's say, and never orgasm? Like you ain't never try to adjust nothing or do
Something.
anything or
Kick it to the right, kick it to the left.
something, and apparently he was oblivious because I'm sure he orgasmed those 10 years. So he was oblivious to, and I'm,
And
I
kids.
mean,
So yeah.
I guess she's a great actress because she said she faked orgasms for 10 years. That's many years of faking.
That's fucked
It's a lot
up
of
to say
patience.
that. Right. That's fucked up to say in front of us.
Yeah.
Like, really, the more I think about that, that's really messed up.
It says Gia started the conversation about her struggle to reach orgasm with her husband because it is a part of her book, which is available now. The radio personality, as Casey shared, was her first and only because they met in high school. Most young girls and even many, many, many women, I'm sure so many can relate, don't know how to achieve an orgasm. She said a lot of women have no idea what it feels like to have an orgasm. All right, so this makes sense. He was her first straight out of high school and she had never been with another man, according to her. Well, that's what you get. You don't know your body. You don't know other
Right.
dicks. And it cracks me up because that's what men want, right? They want that virgin. And what did he do? He ran rampant. And who did he cheat with, Lily?
Erica, the 304, and as we always say that listen, men like sex, right?
Mhm.
So to marry a woman who is inexperienced,
Mhm.
they are going to, like, without a shadow of a doubt,
Mhm.
at some point in that marriage, get an experienced woman to
Mhm.
scratch that real itch
Of
that's
course.
going on. So
Yeah, because most of the time they want to just marry a woman to just manage the home management.
And
Anytime-
then that is what she does. And she does that. And let me tell you, he picked a great woman to manage the home because she's getting matching outfits for everybody. She's planning the vacations. However, when he really wants to get down, he's going to call in Erica Mena, just like he did. And he had to
Mhm.
admit and apologize because he fucked up on his home manager. That's what a lot of wives are. Oh, I want this virgin. I'm like, no, you want someone who's going to wash your drawers and you want someone who's going to rub your back when you go home. That is what you want. And women sign up for that. But when he wanted to get down, and I personally did not like the way he handled that situation because I hate when a man does that and it's like, nah, I'm trying to blame her. You took the vows, bitch.
Right. Oh, my question was, I was going to ask, what
Mhm.
do you all think? Do you all respect the fact that Charlemagne keeps his wife and family out of the public eye? Because I do.
yeah, I would.
I mean, it's best because
No.
Charlemagne starts a lot of trouble. So it's best that he does that. It's in his
Absolutely.
best benefit. So there's a quote here from I guess what she was saying about the orgasm. Says we would be intimate and he would be putting his best foot forward. He lives to make me happy. She says that a lot, by the way, except when he want to fuck a real one, right? He lives to make me happy. So I would see him trying, really going to work. You want to reward that man for that work. And the only reward that you have to offer is an orgasm. But even if I didn't feel it, I would still be performative. In retrospect, Casey says she realized he couldn't help her reach orgasm. He couldn't help her reach orgasm because she didn't know what she needed to get there. He was doing everything a man could to please a woman. The problem was I didn't know my body. So you married a dud. That's what happened. He wanted a virgin. He got a virgin.
So can I ask y'all a question? You
Go
think
right on ahead.
think she's ever stepped out on Envy?
I think so.
Because I mean,
I do.
I doubt if that woman gonna die never having an orgasm.
Right.
So
Right. Right. I think so. I'm
I mean,
sorry.
I just don't know like, is she Catholic or something? I mean, I don't understand why she wouldn't know what would help her get an orgasm. Like, there's things you can buy and experiment with your fingers. I mean, she says she doesn't know her own body. Listen, I don't know. I'm not a woman, but I think that if you are in bed with a man and the man is not doing it for you, there's still a way that you can achieve orgasm. You just probably have to flip him on his back and get it in the right spots because you know your own
Right?
body.
I mean, 10 years is a long time. Like, how much of a prude are you, lady?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
how
Is she
much of a
Catholic,
prude
like
are
only
you?
only missionary position, no masturbation. I don't know. I don't understand.
So it says here, DJ Envy then jumped into the conversation to talk about the moment his wife admitted she wasn't satisfied in bed. We had gotten into an argument, and then she was like, well, you know, I don't be having an orgasm. And I was like, yes, you do. I hear it. And she was like, no, I'm faking it. I'm like, every time. And she was like, yeah. And that just crushed me because I thought I was putting in work.
That's what he said. Yes, I remember that line, that last line. I thought I was putting in work. Ain't
That's
that
like
got to be more careful.
I just really, I don't know. I think that and, you know, before DNA, but even with DNA, sometimes before you can get tested, when a woman says it's not your baby or that's not even your baby, you know, that's two things that will really play with a man's psyche, you know. So I don't know that. And yeah, that's kind of
You
raw
think
to
it's
put it out there. On air.
Bullshit. You think it's bullshit?
Well, I just think it's being, I don't know, it may be true, but to put it out there like that is just that's pretty
Right.
vindictive.
Man, I mean, ethnic women they want to fucking crush you, man. They want to drop that dagger in deep. Yeah, they'll tell you your dick don't work in front of your mama. They don't give a fuck. Fuck, yo.
Yeah. Well, you know, it says here, allegedly, supposedly, it took a heated argument to get the truth out, but the couple was able to change their sex life for the better. I'll be damned. I pushed out 6 kids for a man, and none of them was an orgasm night.
That's
6 tries, man. At least.
You were just
At least.
so you're a breeder. You're a breeder, lady.
That's it.
Breeder on a homemaker and a home manager.
Yeah.
Right. Wow.
Basically. But a lot of these girls are, even like when you look at, rest in peace, Kobe. But when you look at Vanessa Bryant, like, you know, when Drake said that thing, you know, you wasn't with him shooting in the gym. She was like, I signed checks, right? They manage the home. That's what the wife is for. They manage the home for these guys. And these guys, if they're high value, you know, they're going to go do what they got to do on the outside. And best believe they're going to want a woman that's experienced. Right. But you go ahead and, you know, take your virginity and all the way and manage that home. I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
See, I just had a conversation with a younger person today, and I said, see, this is why I don't believe people should be even entertaining the idea of marriage. You know how we feel about marriage anyway, but you know how that is. But I don't feel like people should entertain the idea of marriage before 30 at all. Because there's so much to learn, because you're just moving out of your parents' house, okay?
Right.
So now you got to figure out what life looks like away from your parents. And some people, and I'm assuming, like, because I moved out at 18, so I'm just assuming you move out at 18. Let's say you go to college or whatever and move out during the college age, well, you really get a late start. So why would you hop out of one institution of the family institution into a marriage institution, and then you're supposed to do this forever for the rest of your life as you start growing and stuff? It's just too early. It's unrealistic, and you're not going to get the full benefit of life, not just the marriage. I'm not even thinking about that. I'm just thinking about of life, and you're going to feel like you're missing out on something as you see people, and how I know is because there's people that I know that actually lived life before they got married, and they're married and they still feel like they're missing out on something. So if you didn't get that life experience and then you're sitting around watching people live life, you're definitely going to feel like you missed out on something. And that's why we see the girls that go like buck wild after 40. Those are typically those girls. There's a girl I used to hang out with when I turned 20. She had just turned 40. She was one of those people. She had just got divorced, and you would have thought she was a 20-year-old because she was buck wild, and she ended up losing her children. So
Black Lexicon said it's his fault. This is funny. He says, I'm sure he did that immature thing by asking her if she did. Yeah, men do that. I think that's corny too, right? Be like, you came. You don't know if I came. Like, what are we doing here? What is this shit? I hate guys that do the 20 questions. That's corny. It's a turn off to me. Whatever.
people are like Steve M's comment. People want the big house and the American dream.
Well, she got that. She got
And
the big house and the American dream. Now she's diminished to writing books about her struggles in that marriage and buying uniforms for her family.
Right. Here and Omar Begatron says, "Here's a secret: you'll always miss out on something." That's true. But I will say this: there are things I don't mind missing out on. Because I think about this a lot. I often think about certain things when I see certain things, like people doing things like partying or clubbing or just certain things. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, I don't feel like I missed out because I did it to capacity. I overdid it. And then there's just things that, like, if I wanted to do that, I would have been done it. Don't feel like doing it. So I
Right.
don't feel like I missed out on anything from my past. From nothing. Like, I did everything I wanted to do. So at this point, it's just about creating new memories and going forth. But yes, you will never have it all.
Right.
Yeah.
That's very true. That's me, like how I look at because you want to live and do everything and experience everything, and you want to be an old person and be like, yeah, I did it up. But that's how I feel about like when people talk about certain drugs or like threesomes or orgies. I'm like, I'm cool on that. Like I don't have to experience it to be in my deathbed as an old lady, be like, yeah, I did that orgy. Like if it's your thing, it's your thing. But it's just certain things, like you said, Lily, that I'm like, I don't have to experience that to know. And nah, it's I don't have to like do coke to like, hey, I did coke when I was 35. Like I'm cool. There's
Oh,
some things.
you're gonna regret that crystal meth, Jen.
Darn it! I watched Breaking Bad and it looks so fun.
You're gonna be 90 and you're gonna be like, fuck, I don't have teeth anyway. I should have damn did the math.
I should have did the math.
Should have did the math. Damn it.
Good for congratulations on my Vegatron. Congratulations.
What he said?
He says he likes drugs. That's a
They're a
congrats.
lot of fun. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Too bad they don't like me. I had to stop.
But that I believe she didn't orgasm. She is a prude. She's one of those holier than thous, and they talk a lot about he's the only man I've been with and blah blah, as it's some sort of badge of honor, but that's because of religion and society. It's
There
sort
you
of
go.
badge of honor.
There you go. It's got to be that whole. And then she brought up Jesus. It's got to be. She doesn't believe in all that other stuff. That exploring your body and all that. It's a sin.
So hold on, let me get this clear. Are we blaming Jesus for not coming? Because Jesus has been blamed for a lot of stuff.
Well, listen, God is in the room every time I orgasm.
And that's what I was about to say. Like, hold on, because I called in the name of the Lord. Like,
yo, for an atheist, woo, I will. And listen, if God is all in there, oh my God. Yeah, sure
right.
is. Oh my God. Carla Summers says she got a Lilo or a womanizer. I'm sure of it. I don't know what's a Lilo.
They sound like toys.
Oh, okay.
That's funny.
Right. That's what they calling Jesus a cock blocker. I wouldn't listen. The Christians would not tolerate such madness.
Not at all. Yeah, but she was literally a breeder. That's crazy to me. Like she was literally getting fucked just to produce children. That's wild to me. Because there was no pleasure.
Well, I just don't listen. I don't understand how she says that she, she is. How can I say this? She's into Jesus and she never had an orgasm, but then she sat there and lied to him for 10 years saying that she had, faking it. So, I mean, that's kind of, she was between a rock and a hard place. I mean,
But here's what I want to,
she was lying.
well, but here's what I want to know. Here's what I want to know. Where'd she learn to fake it? What was she imitating? She's a virgin, never had sex with just that one person. So where'd she learn to fake it? How does she know what it sounded like? Convincingly enough to where he believed that was an orgasm for 10 years. So she had to be good at faking it because he believed she was coming for 10 years. Where'd she learn that? Who was she imitating?
He got DNA tested for all them kids. You're bringing up an interesting point right now.
See, I'm that friend.
Light bulb just went up in my head. Like,
see, but I'm that friend. This is why. This is why my male friends call me, because I ask those questions.
Wait a minute. You start bringing your kids up and putting them next to you in the mirror. Junior, come in. Exactly.
Oh,
I'm like, because come on, ladies, we know that the sound of an orgasm is a very distinct sound. The breathing, the noises, the words we use, right? And it convinced him for 10 years. I'm just curious. I just want to know where she got the act from. That's all. I mean, was she sneaking before sex and watching Pornhub? Like, okay,
or maybe she was. Oh my God, she was practicing.
Was she watching Pornhub? Like, is this what they do? They say, "Oh my God, oh yeah,
Oh
and then she was like, "I'm ready to have sex."
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Oh my God, yeah." And DJ Envy, because he's so damn clueless. A lot of men are.
No, DJ Envy's ex, he's super stupid.
Right. So porn. Okay, people are saying porn. All right, maybe it was porn. Maybe she watched porn and was like, "All right, I'll just yell like this."
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of, because you have to fake something.
Right. Yeah. Wonder if she had a practice partner.
I don't know. Maybe he has. I mean, it's not impossible. Maybe he is the only man that she's been with. Maybe. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I caught that too. I just caught that.
Who is this chat?
We got a horrible chat. Just bad people.
What is this chat? What is this chat?
Shit, man. Y'all just saying shit, man.
Oh my God. I mean, so now we're watching all these people going back to Tyrese. Now we're watching all these people unravel on social media. Is mental health, just going back to Tyrese really quickly, is mental health, it's been used in mass shootings, mental health. It's been used in cheating, mental health. It's been used in I fucked the wrong person, mental health. It's been, you name it. People are like, oh, I was in a dark place. I mean, is it ever a time where mental health is a good excuse? Tyrese said on the show, he was like, oh, you know how it is when somebody's not in their right mind. They say X, Y, and Z. I'm not one of those people who is like, oh, I was drunk. I was this. Yeah, but you meant it. Like, you said what you were feeling. And I think sometimes with mental health and liquor, people, they like, oh, but I was drunk, right? Yeah, but you said it, right? Now, you may be sorry. You may be sorry for what you said. And some of us say things, oh, shit, my bad. I shouldn't have went that far. But it was in your head.
So this is really tricky. This is, I mean, when I say really, 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 really tricky,
Okay.
Because I looked at this from so many different standpoints because I have been around real people with real mental illness when you could see them be one person and a stable, intelligent, super functioning. And most people who have mental illness are super intelligent. Like that's the other thing, right? And then I'm thinking of somebody in particular. I have a really good friend, and sh- um, she had a breakdown, a really bad breakdown or whatever, and it activated mental illness. And usually it's hereditary, right? And she went from being a super productive member of society to having a breakdown and walking the streets and talking to herself and all of that stuff, right? And then getting on medication, getting her life back in order. And that's when her and I became really close. And she came over my place one day and was like, yeah, everything's been going so well. I've been dealing with my therapist and I decided to stop taking my meds. And I was like, girl,
Mhm.
Molly, you in danger, girl.
Mhm.
And so for about a year, she slowly, and I'm talking slowly, unraveled to the point that in the course of that year, there were points that she would say something off, but it'd be like a sentence, and it'd make you kind of do a take, and you're like, did she just? And then you'd be like, no, that was me. I'm tripping. I'm tripping because I know she's off her meds.
Mhm.
And then it all the shit hit the fan, and she became a whole nother person. And once they do that, it's damn near impossible to get them back on meds because the laws are set up in a way that you can't make them do anything, right? And the best that you can do is a 72-hour hold, and that's about it. And so I've seen it where this person that I know very well who dresses nice, wears like the makeup, the hair, all that stuff, she dressed different, she sounded different, her
Mhm.
eyes were different, and the shit that she thought that she was a Mexican stripper. She
Okay.
doesn't even know any Mexicans, okay? So I've seen it, but then I've seen others where people are not so bad off and do know what they're doing and just saying things like a drunk person. So
Mhm.
that's why when I was looking at him just using that mental illness to just sweep the whole thing under the rug like that, I was just kind of like, I don't know. It's just something about it. Yes, I do believe that he's had manic episodes, but I don't believe he's the person that just forgets and that it's coming from nowhere. I feel like it's coming from a place because we look at
Okay.
his episodes, right? His episodes. Oh, and hold on, I'm just thinking about it. The beginning of my friend's episode started off with her doing the Tyrese, which she was
Mhm.
saying things that she really felt about people. She was up on like for 5 days just doing posts about people for 5 days, and you could tell us what she really thought about these people. But as the time went on and she unraveled even more, then she became completely um just incoherent. So I'm willing to say that I'm calling Cap. I'm calling Cap. I don't feel like he was that far gone that he just didn't know anything he was saying, and that wasn't coming from a place of what he really felt. I'm calling Cap.
Okay, so this I'm on Homegirl's page, Gia Casey, and you know how the comments are, right? The comments are the comments are commenting. So see, speaking to what you were saying, Lily, there's a guy here who's claiming he has the same issues as Tyrese, and he's writing to DJ Envy's wife, and he's saying Envy should consider listening to Tyrese. I suffer from intense migraines, so I went to a neurologist, and he prescribed me some pills originally intended for epilepsy, but were discovered to be very effective towards ameliorating migraines. Prior to opening up my business, I used to work at a private equity firm doing asset management. Right? And I found myself in complete rage when I was there. It was the craziest thing. It would spring out of nowhere, and I would be ready to literally go to jail due to what I was planning on doing in my head. Long story short, my colleagues saw me taking the pills every 2 hours and saw what I was going through. So he told me to look up the side effects. That one Google search explained it. One of the side effects was temperamental rage. I had to stop taking it. Certain psych drugs can really mess around with your neurochemistry and completely change you. It's almost like you're driving, but you're not behind the wheel. Please extend Tyrese some grace. It's interesting because there's always like people in the comments and on these social media things, and they're always begging for grace for these celebrities. I find it funny. Um, Same motherfuckers won't forgive their cousin for stealing $5 when they want crack. But for some reason, they want these celebrities to have so much grace. We have some grace. I was like, he didn't mean it. She didn't mean it. To have some grace. They're always caping for these celebrities. So this guy is caping and saying, hey, Tyrese was out of his mind. However, Tyrese is saying he didn't even do the thing that he's being accused of doing. So was he out of his mind or not out of his mind? Because he's saying, now Tyrese is like, I didn't even do it. I just checked my text messages and I didn't even do it.
This particular situation right here, I don't know Tyrese's medical history or his mental history. I don't know if he's actually been diagnosed. I have no clue. What I do know is that the term mental health is being thrown around like narcissism in these internet streets. Everyone's suffering from sort of mental illness. Everyone's a narcissist. Everyone's this, everyone's a that. No, maybe you're not suffering from mental illness. Maybe you're fucking lazy. Maybe you're just a fucking asshole. Maybe you just need to apologize for your behavior. Now, if you do suspect that you do have some degree of mental illness, whether it be depression or you suffer from mania or manic depression, my suggestion is that you seek some degree of help, but don't blame your transgressions, your choices in life on these, you got to understand, man, I just be going through things, man. I just be having some moments, man. Like, no, man, you wasn't having no moment, bro. You know what you were doing. You're just a fucking dick. Now, if somebody said just flat out knocked you out and just stabbed you to death and be like, Your Honor, I had a moment. You got to understand, I'll be going through some things. You see how ridiculous it sounds? It's like there are people out here with real issues. Stop making a mockery of these things, man.
Right. And my biggest issue with mental illness, in addition to what you just said, because people do overuse it because it is a real thing. And there are real people out here who really, they're suffering. My issue is a lot of times when we see people go through mania, a lot of times they're like my friend, meaning they were on a certain cocktail of medication and they chose to get off of it. And the excuse that they always use is that I don't like it the way it makes me feel.
Mm-hmm.
That's always the excuse.
Yeah. And another thing is it'll make you feel like you don't have whatever's making you be on that medicine anymore. It works so well that you think you're over it and you think you don't need the medicine anymore, and then you get off of it and the symptoms come back. It's a touchy situation. Listen, there are people who have mental health issues that kill people that can still be tried because they know it's still wrong. They know the difference between right and wrong, even though they have a mental illness or they're going through something. That's why, you do have the insanity plea, but the insanity plea, the person has to know, he has to not know what he's doing is wrong. As long as you know what you're doing is wrong, it's not really an excuse. And if he knew that what he was doing, and so it's a judgment call at the end of the day. He may have a mental issue, but he also might have known the difference between right or wrong. So it's not necessarily an excuse. But as far as what Jim was saying about the commenter, I understand what he's saying. Am I okay? Everything's okay?
Mm-hmm.
You still hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I understand what the commenter was saying. As far as the grace thing goes, is because he's putting himself in that person's shoes because he went through something similar. That's all he's saying was, hey, I go through it too. And he's empathizing with him for that reason. But
I hate when people do that.
And to be clear,
shut up.
There's a difference between a person has baggage. Everybody has baggage. Everybody's going through things. There's a difference between you got baggage and you have mental illness. Okay. Abandonment issues ain't like having schizophrenia. Okay. These are not the same things, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. Schizophrenia. Yeah. No, you're right.
People these days, they get on medicine if they lose their keys. So it's like, it's become really tricky to decipher. And unfortunately, who suffers is the people who really have mental illness. That's who suffers. So
The funny thing is that now, they're pushing. I always said big pharma, the biggest drug dealers on the planet. They ain't got nothing on a young Jay-Z. But you go in there and you hear the lingo, you hear the language. You go in there, I got a headache, I got this. They're trying to push the meds on you, no matter what it is. I'm like, you didn't even talk to me, bitch. Like, now you're pushing drugs on me. And there are people that I know personally that I was shocked to hear were like 2-3 different medications. And I'm like, for what? You just have a fucking nasty attitude.
that's
No,
it.
I'm bipolar. I'm bipolar. The doctor said I'm bipolar. No, you have a fucking nasty attitude. I've known you my whole life. You
What
have
doctor?
a
A
fucking
medical doctor or a psychiatrist?
Dr.
you have
Dre.
Jeff?
It's Dr. Dre. That's
Dr.
what
Dre.
he told
Said
him.
Dr.
Yeah.
Dre.
Dr.
Might as
Seuss.
well.
Dr.
Did you go to a
Seuss.
psychiatrist and did they diagnose you after hours and hours?
Dr. Seuss.
Right,
And I'm
Dr.
just like,
Seuss.
but there are people, I'm telling you, people close to me that are now on meds. And it's a thin line because like you can't turn your nose up to it, right, too much, because we're used to dealing with PTSD coming from where we come from. We're used to dealing with the PTSD. We don't get diagnosed. We just walk it off. And if it's real bad, like if we have a retarded cousin, we treat them like one of the family. We don't. But nowadays we're veering into people on there's Paxil and Xanax. And I'm like, that was never in our community. Prescription drugs was not our fucking thing. Now
It
there's
wasn't.
Percocet and I'm like, what, since when, girl? Like, stop. Like, no, I can't. I need my pills. I need my pill. Stop. But then it's like, you're like, bitch, you just have a nasty attitude. Stop dating them fucking bums and you'll be fine. That's how I look at it. But it's like, you gotta, who's
It's
crazy and who isn't at this point? Are
you don't
people
know.
you
Well,
don't know?
my
And
ex-
is it increasing? Is it increasing? I mean, is it
Are
increasing now
these
because of
things?
Yeah, I
Right.
think. Well, I even think it was before that, though. I mean, that probably is contributing to it. But I think our society and the guest last night kind of brought something up that is true, that I was resonating with, and I can't remember exactly what she was talking about at the time, but she was basically saying that we went from being around a lot of family into being individualistic. So this
Yeah.
country is very individualistic, and I
Yeah.
think that's why a lot of over probably half the country's on an antidepressant because.
Hello.
Hey,
Hi.
how
Hold on,
you
I'm just
doing?
having difficulty hearing. I believe it's something I need to change in my end.
We can hear you fine.
Yeah, I don't think he's hearing
Can you
us.
hear us? Can you
I
hear
can
us?
hear you now. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
So yeah,
Welcome.
so I definitely think that our society has brought on a lot of, and you can throw in the stuff that we're talking about, the phones, being isolated, not being social anymore in this country, where it's more like isolation. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it.
I wanted to touch on the topic as well. I wanted to talk more specifically about what would motivate somebody to want to manage their mental health. And a lot of the times that is kind of fear of isolation. When you look at somebody who has like, I don't know, like borderline, people who are like bipolar, anything that like doesn't necessarily preclude you from being social. What like these people will notice over like periods of time is that people have a tendency to sort of like distance themselves from people that they deem as too internally chaotic. And for somebody like Tyrese, he wouldn't necessarily suffer from any of the negative consequences for being that way because he is such a sought after whatever you want to call him. He's a celebrity, right? But if I'm acting in a way where I'm not self-regulating, I'm projecting my feelings, I'm being overly confrontational, like those aren't things that are accepted in day-to-day society. And I think we as human beings, especially adults, and especially adults that are capable of human interaction, have a responsibility to take accountability for our mental health the same way we would with any other ailment that we have. Doesn't mean that we can't be sympathetic to people. No, not at all. Like people who are schizophrenic, they deal with a degree of things that you wouldn't really even understand unless you had it, right? And there's ways to be sympathetic as well, but I'm of the big, like, I'm a big believer that when you're younger, it's okay to be, it's okay to have your friends as your, like, therapist, as your counselor when you're younger, but when you're older, like, it gets back into, like, the personal responsibility where you should be looking for, like, professional help. And not only is it more productive for your relationships, people want to be around you more. You're not using every social opportunity as an opportunity to exchange or transfer some of that negative energy.
That's a great point, because I've never even thought about that, but it's true. You are responsible for your mental health, and some people, I think they use it as kind of like a shield for bad behavior. And I
Mhm.
don't, and I tend to I don't want to say give up, but I tend to distance myself after a while. I'm like, okay, that's enough. Like now, me being around you is affecting me, and I have
Oh
to
Yeah.
yeah.
protect me, right? So, it's like some people, like, I have a very close relative, and just unbearable. Like, I would have to tell my siblings, like, hey, are you going over there today? Am I going over there? Who's going over there? Let's go over there. And we would kind of each other's support. You know what I mean? So there's like, let's go over there, but I'll go if you go, or whatever. And I'm like, it was just unbearable to have someone just walk in and be so destructive for no reason at
For
all.
no reason.
Nothing's
Sure.
going on. There's no friction. And then see the same person kind of calm because they created chaos. Like that was like it brought them solace. And I would notice that. And I was like, oh, no, no, no. I don't like I don't like this. I don't like people. I'm very, very sensitive. And I will admit I am very sensitive to people who have nasty dispositions or attitudes, or they're always down, or something is always happening to them, or look what's going on. I just don't like being around people that are overly pessimistic. It just does something to me.
Fair enough.
Right. And you know what? Back to like the point I had made earlier, and I love that you brought up that point. It's like, yes, it is personal responsibility, right? And this same friend that I was telling you about, when she became to the point where it was incoherent, I I remember a couple of times seeing her and like crossing the street, acting like I didn't know her because I just didn't know. It was above my pay grade. Okay, it was above my pay grade, and for a little bit, I felt guilty because I was just like, am I being a bad friend? Like, what is this? After she started taking her meds again, we had a talk. We went out to lunch. She was back to normal.
Mhm.
And I told her, listen, there's a couple of times I saw you. I didn't know what the fuck to do. So I crossed the street. She said, you did the right thing. She said, you did the right thing. I was
Right.
crazy. I mean, because ultimately, what got her back on her meds is that she attacked a cop and ended up going to jail. So, and then they put her back on there. Goes back to personal responsibility. Even my friend, and I'm not, she's a motivational speaker, so she tells this story all the time. She stopped taking her meds,
Mhm.
right? She stopped taking her meds. So just because my friend stopped taking her med, do I have to pay the consequences for it? No,
Mhm.
because that was a personal choice that she made. And a lot of times, this is the this is the case with a lot of people with mental illness who have already been diagnosed, who have already um, been leveled out, because a lot of times when they're first diagnosed, they have to find the medications that work for them. Maybe one will work, maybe, like you said, three will work, right? But once you find that now, there's no excuse. Because if you
I
stop
think
taking that shit,
and FIFA gonna be like, that's not true scientifically, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But I think it goes back to something that Haran said. I think some people, like, we're all dynamic, humans are all different, but I don't automatically think when someone goes on a stabbing spree, they're crazy. I don't automatically think that. I think that some people, I was listening to a case the day before yesterday. Uh 16-year-old kid lures his 14 year old girl um into a shack and stabs her 114 times. Now, he had no history of mental illness, grew up very privileged, beautiful home, both parents working. spoiled to death, siblings, people that love him, grandmother who loves him. And he told his friends, I want to see what it feels like to kill somebody. Right? Told his girlfriend that, told his friends, I just want to see what it feels like. One day I'm going to kill somebody. Lures this innocent teenager to a shack. They're on the surveillance video. And then after he does what he does, stabs her 114 times. And then he runs off, goes home, changes his clothes, and goes on about his business. And when they throw him in the back of the squad car, he's Snapchatting his friends saying, oh my God, they got me back here. If anyone has seen Kristen,
Yeah, I
I
saw
hope
that.
she comes walking out, blah, blah, right? So I'm like, oh, he must be mentally ill. No, he just I want to see what it feels like to make lasagna by myself. I usually make it with a friend, right?
Then he's a sociopath.
Right?
I saw it was
It's
two
a
people though, I think,
psychopath
right?
more than
He was in the back seat with a friend too, I believe. I saw that.
Yeah, he was, but he committed the crime by himself. But it was two people in the back of the squad car. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think that. Sorry, continue your thought.
Oh no,
Yeah,
you
so
go
is
ahead.
he automatically crazy? Is he automatically
Well,
crazy? Or
no,
he's
he's
just
a
it just
like,
depends
sociopath.
on what you look at, like how you look at like sociopathy versus psychopathy, because a sociopath might say in this circumstance, like, they would express an emotion before conveying the intention or the want to kill, right? Like this
Mhm.
person tripped me earlier, I broke my $10,000 whatever, I'm really upset, and I would like to, like, I feel like I could kill that person or whatever, right? There's the emotion there. There's a high degree of it being like really irrational, and they've conveyed like generally the same thing that the kid did. So then when you think about the kid, there isn't necessarily an emotion as much as there is just blatant curiosity, right? Which implies that he's probably not sympathetic, because his curiosity is more important than the loss for that person's parents, families, whatever, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, and not just that, he knew the person. It wasn't like a stranger. That was like a friend of his. That was what was even crazier about it. But no, there's a difference, I think, between. But I was watching today, believe it or not. Every once in a while on my feed, these videos from like the 50s or 60s, these psychological, where they're interviewing people, and it was a 6 or 7-year-old would just in kindergarten, whatever, beat somebody up, and because he said, and you could see something was like not right about the guy, because it was like that's how he handles his business. Can't you handle it another way? He's like, no, I'm a 6-year-old, no, that's not, that's how I do it. And so I think that the brain, listen, some people are just born with if you want to call it a defect or whatever, where their brains mentally, they don't have empathy. We see it all the time in serial killers. There's something missing. So it's different from a mental, like schizophrenia.
Yeah, it's different from mental. Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, but it's still like something ain't right about that person. And then with that kid that's killed his friend, stabbed her all those times. I mean, I don't know if his brain wasn't fully developed, but still, like 13 or 14-year-old kid, most 13 or 14-year-old kids aren't going to do it, so.
I mean, he knew to come home and
he knew it was wrong.
Change his clothes.
Yeah, he knew it was wrong. That's what I'm saying. He knew it was wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like saying sociopaths are different from like the typical mental illness, because sociopaths are very aware. They're not out of their mind. They're calculated. It's very as opposed to mental illness. They're literally not the person you know.
And that's why when you see them interviewed, some people that are sociopaths that aren't mass murderers, but they'll be interviewed by psychiatrists, and they'll tell you the way they're feeling, like they're mimicking emotions. They know what they're supposed to look like when something's going on, but they really don't feel it.
Like Gia Casey.
I think sociopaths are capable of some emotion. Definitely
like anger.
Yeah,
differentiate.
Definitely anger.
Make sure we differentiate difference between a sociopath and a psychopath.
Yeah, I was about to read that. You got it?
Okay.
So
go ahead.
Well, I can say too.
Born fucked up.
I can read it.
Go ahead.
It says overview. sociopath, antisocial personality disorder, sometimes called sociopathy, is a mental health condition in which a person consistently shows no regard for right and wrong and ignores the rights and feelings of others. What is the difference between a psychopath and a sociopath? Sociopaths have a conscience, albeit a weak one, and will often justify something they know to be wrong. By contrast, psychopaths will believe that their actions are justified and feel no remorse for any harm done.
This is the difference between, you would say, Batman and the Joker.
So it's a
Batman's
no,
a
not
sociopath.
Batman and the Joker. You think
Batman is a
Batman's a sociopath?
Yeah, Batman is a goddamn sociopath, and the Joker,
Yeah.
the Joker is a psychopath.
How is Batman a sociopath?
Because
Well-
he has the pre-existing trauma and all of that stuff.
Well,
But his
the-
actions, how is he a
Emotions.
sociopath in action?
Action,
How's
yeah.
Batman in action?
Go for it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Well, in a sense, that intense moment in his life, he decided the only way for the world to be corrected in his mind is that he had to take on that duty by going out there and fucking everybody up, breaking bones, doing what he ever had.
Yeah, but he only does
Okay,
that
you
to
can also say
bad
the
guys.
Punisher. Then the Punisher is a sociopath. He literally kills people.
Yeah, he.
Literally kills bad guys.
Well, because he derives his sense of
that
self from
sounds-
like justifying violence, right? So that would be sociopath.
Absolutely,
Yeah, that sounds-
absolutely.
that
Now,
sounds
the
like
Joker
a-
thinks he's justified. The Joker
Right.
thinks that he's justified in his actions.
Because he is.
Anyway,
moving on.
I think the Joker's definitely a
Bane is more
psychopath. I think.
justified than
Yeah.
the Joker. I will say that. I will argue that Bane is more justified than the Joker.
I'll raise you one. Thanos. Thanos is more justified than all of them.
Okay, well. Well, anyway, go ahead.
So, listening to these definitions and the difference between psychopath and sociopath, what would you say that kid is? 114 stab wounds. He just wants to see what it felt like to kill somebody. Then he jokes about it. Then he lies about it. And then he's at the precinct, still lying about it. And he adds that, oh yeah, I kissed her, and I pushed her down
He's a fucking
and
psycho.
ran.
He's
You
a
think
fucking
he's a-
psycho.
Antisocial personality.
Yeah, that's social
That's the difference.
personality.
It's the difference between seeing somebody as like an inconvenience or an annoyance or someone you don't like versus seeing someone as like an object, right? Like
Mhm.
something you can just move out of the way.
What do
Like
you
that
think,
kind
No
of
Saint?
behavior, that kind of behavior is very relative to the behaviors of serial killers.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he's a sociopath.
Well, yes, no, those are psychopaths most of the time. Those serial
Psychopaths.
killers.
Psychopath, for
No.
sure.
Most of the times, their victims, they see them as objects. A lot of these guys have fantasies in their heads, and they're using these people as pieces in their fantasies and so on and so forth. So those people are psychopaths. We have
That's a
some
great.
soldiers who come back
Uh-huh.
from war who become sociopaths because of the trauma that they experienced when they were, overseas.
Yeah, I don't know what the definitions you're given. I'm trying to figure out which one that kid is, but he seems like you're saying psychopaths feel
That kid
justified.
was born
with
that
what they're
way.
doing.
I saw that kid. I
Not
saw him.
necessarily
He's
justified.
got a dead look in his eyes. He's got a dead fucking
Yeah.
pair of eyes,
So
man.
the
Yeah,
sociopaths have a conscience, albeit a weak one, and will often justify something they know to be wrong. By contrast, psychopaths will believe that their actions are justified and feel no remorse for any harm done, which is what
So
I
he's a
saw.
psychopath.
I saw that kid. He's a, in my opinion, I saw a psychopath.
Yeah,
Like,
because he
was
doesn't have the
complete-
remorse.
Right.
Yeah, he had no
Wow.
remorse. Like he couldn't even. I mean, he was sitting in the court. He was just like, "Why am I here?"
The only problem
he-
I have, I guess, it's the whole. You can't hold the definition 100%. 100% is because I'm thinking, does he think he's justified? And I don't know if he thinks he's justified, but he definitely doesn't have remorse.
Well, what's the definition of justification?
I don't think he even
That-
considered that.
Yeah, like I don't know if
Whether
he had
he
a
wants to do it or
reason,
not.
like a reason to do it like that. I'm going to do it because such and this is, you know, I don't know. I don't know his thought on
I
that.
think the
That's
kid
what I'm
was
saying.
bored. I think the kid was bored, and he had, and for him, that was a justifiable reason for him to do what he did.
Yeah.
I know
think
they were
there's
walking
justification.
together. Yeah. I think
Did
they
you
were
say
walking
he
down
was
there's
the-
from a wealthy
justification.
background as well?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. His house was crazy because they had surveillance video of his mother trying to wash the blood off the jeans. So she had
Oh, that's
cameras
right.
in her house everywhere. The house was big and beautiful. So, and then they had a playroom that looked like bigger than most New York apartments. And that was just the playroom.
Yeah, you see it. Okay.
Some parents are something else. I saw another one
Yeah.
today. I saw another one today where the guy killed he was at Cal Poly. He was like 19 and the girl was 19, and they couldn't pin it on him, right? They couldn't for 20 years. They reopened the case after 20 years, and they went into his house, and he had all kinds of videos of him, and they found like the stuff you put in the stuff you put in the drinks to drug women and stuff, and they had videos of him abusing women. And then they went to the parents' house, which 20 years prior were in a deposition for a lawsuit for that, right? And they were like, and then they went under the parents' house carport. They got a search warrant, and they knew that they couldn't tell. They found a little piece of material that was like the same dress color as that girl, and who was 19, and they could tell like the dirt was disturbed. They couldn't get DNA, but like when there's blood someplace, the dirt, there's some kind of, you know, I'm not going to get out on forensic stuff, but so they arrested him. You know, he was in his 40s at this point, but it was amazing that these parents, like, this is at the parents' house, and the parents had, you know, were they aware it was their house? And you're like, what is wrong with parents that are going to try to hide stuff that their kids? I understand you don't want your kid to go to jail, but I don't know, man. That's, to me,
I don't see that. And I want to get into, I know, no saying you don't like this subject, but I want to get into race a little bit before we close. Like, if I found out that my son was wanted and arrested for stabbing a girl for 114 years, get this fucking monster out of my house. And then I'll deal with the emotion that I birthed this child after that. But if he mutilated an innocent 13-year-old girl, get this fucking animal out of my house. Because I would be thinking, if someone did that to my son, right? Or someone did that to my child, that's an automatic reaction. This woman is literally on her own surveillance video with a friend, washing off his jeans, discussing the jeans in the surveillance video with her friend. Her friend points to the fucking camera like, hey, don't forget you got cameras in here. Literally. Okay. And she's been arrested, and they're dealing with her as well. But I'm like,
I don't think this is the first time something
This
like
is the mother?
the mother is on surveillance video.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me then, because I think like, well, just being in a wealthy home, you would have to wonder what they do to keep the home. And then it would be, you know, to me, it would seem like there would be a lot of like say they had a nanny or something. It would be really easy for him to for them to not even be aware of his behavior, because he would be in a completely different way. For his parents, where generally if they're like nannies, they usually enforce consequences, whereas like when the parents come, you know, they get to do all the fun things.
There's a
The
show
funny
I used
thing
to
is, really quickly, the funny thing is that the lady she was talking to in the surveillance really looked like a nanny. I don't know who it was. It could have been a sister, could have been an aunt, but it looked like a nanny. It looked like, you know what I mean? I help around the house, and they're discussing the jeans in the video, and it's like, what are you doing? And this other guy comes in. So now you have 3 people trying to hide bloody jeans, not just the mom, but 3 people. And this is for a little girl that got stabbed 114 times, and 3 people saw it fit, 3 adults saw it fit. So what are we going to do with these jeans? And the other lady comes in and cleaning the floor. So this is the environment this kid was in. But speaking of race, do you think that people are born? Because I have a really crazy theory, and I really did pull it out my cute little round Puerto Rican ass. Okay. I have a theory. You know how people say Black people, it's genetically or plantation or slavery, whatever, it's in the genes, or
DNA.
body doesn't forget, shit
Yeah.
like that. There's a book like The Body Doesn't Never Forget, whatever.
Mhm.
Do you think similarly, if Black people do it, because 400 or 500 years of a thing is deep, right? So if you think, do you think, like, if that is true, if you do believe it, and I don't know if it's been scientifically proven that it's in Black people's DNA, that they still carry, you know what I
Trauma.
mean, that trauma, right? Through a bloodline, right? So do you think that it's possible that white people also carry that psychopathy? Because you have to think of people that was very, very just evil to other people. Can that be passed down? Because then the other one can't. If white
Right.
people can't, then Black people don't have any DNA from slavery. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
They
if,
both have to be
how
true
can
or
you?
none.
Right. Thank you. Like, how can the trauma of the slave plantation be passed down generations, but then the evil of how white people treated people on the plantations, that's not passed down?
So
You
yeah, I
understand?
believe it's true for both, and here's why: because those are not the only things that are passed down through DNA, right? There's things that people just automatically, innately know how to do just because it's been passed down through DNA. So, like you
That's
said,
true. Like
if it
singers.
right, so if it's true for one, it has to be true for the rest as well. So yeah, I definitely believe that. And just like anything else, things skip generations as well. Like just like diseases and stuff like that, they can
Mhm.
possibly skip a generation. So yeah, you might have a person like a Jeffrey Dahmer have a child, and the child be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe my father did those things." But somewhere down the line, it could happen again.
That's true,
Um,
because Jeffrey Dahmer's dad was like, how the fuck did this even, how the fuck did this even happen? He was like the nicest, quietest guy. Oh my Vegatron says, trauma passed via DNA, sure. Animals pass on instincts. We're no different. And we do see that with singers. Like, I know a singer and both his daughters can blow, right? And he never taught them how to sing. And then his mother was also a singer. So it does
Mar-
get passed down. So
Mariah
how
Carey's
much?
mom was an opera singer.
Right. So how much of it gets passed down? And I don't know the science behind the whole slave plantation DNA. I haven't looked into that, to just be completely honest. I haven't researched that. But is it true? Has it scientifically been proven? And if that's been proven, then we have to say the same for the other side, because some of the things that I see, I'm like, how is this humanly possible?
Especially
That
when
you
you
would
watch the ID channel. It's like
Right. Like, is
it,
it passed down? Is it in the DNA? I mean, they say that about pit bulls. The bloodline is ruined because we've raised so many of them to be wild and fight. Is that the case with human beings?
I wonder, because like my biggest reasoning for maybe not necessarily agreeing would be that in that particular time, would white people have even seen it as problematic? Like, trauma would be passed down, right? But that circumstance wouldn't be traumatic for them. So that degree of entitlement to having,
Mhm.
slavery was just like, there's a gap in time where like somebody would have lived their entire life having, seen slaves, and then ended their life and there's still been slaves, right? So that's kind of where my thought is. It's like that was the norm for them. They wouldn't have seen anything else. And the only thing that would prevent them from being traumatic, like personally, I don't think I could see, like, there had to be a degree of sympathy or empathy there as well for like, people. But if something is so, prevalent, so yeah, that's just my thing. Like, maybe the sense of like entitlement or that, can sort of be passed down. And like, I think you could probably demonstrate that, but yeah, I don't know.
So that's interesting, because it's like, I understand what you're saying about like the trauma would be passed down, but not like bad things aren't the only thing that's passed down. Trauma isn't the only thing that's passed down, because we
right.
just talked about the singers, right? And it's like, oh my God, you have a voice like your mom or your dad, and then that person. So I understand what you're saying, like with the trauma, but good things are also passed down. So even, a sense of entitlement or the privilege, is that passed down? Is that innate?
Is
Or
it
is that
nature, nurture,
conditioned?
I think, listen, I would obviously have to look more into it, because I think that with trauma, there's actually, if I'm remembering it correctly, there's actually a change chemically. There's things going on because you're under such stress and duress all the time that there's a change in when you pass, and that's what you're passing down into what they were saying is, I'm sorry, what's your name?
Nee.
Nee. What Nee was saying is that if you are not under, in other words, if it's just normal, there is no physiological change in your brain. There's nothing going on to actually change, because that's the way you feel it's normal. So I don't know. I would have to look into it. It's interesting enough. I'm not going to say it can't be that way, but
right. But then it goes back to the singing. Singing is not trauma.
Yeah, but but like you're born with this genes.
Right.
That's
You're
what we
talking
just
about
said.
genes.
That's what we just said.
Okay.
That's what we just
But
said.
that's, I'm not, yeah.
What I'm
That's something
saying, well, I think what's
I don't
being
know if
said
it's the
here-
same thing.
It's what I think is being said here. No, saying is that okay? You have a subject, you have one subject, and this particular subject might experience a degree of trauma that literally rewires their brain and affects their genetic code, so much to the point that when they have offspring, that offspring carries the DNA from that rewired brain, that rewired genetic code, and so on and so forth. That's what I think is being said here. Now, me personally, when coming from the area that I came from, the area that we came from, I would entertain the idea that yes, our brains had to be rewired in order to survive those areas. And our genetic code, therefore, probably was rewired to survive those areas. Did we pass down some of these things to our children? Quite possibly. First of all, my daughter knows how to draw on a level miles above, her age. I used to be an illustrator. She has a natural sense of rhythm. She has a natural take to instruments and pianos. You guys know what I do. I didn't teach her any of this shit. You know what I mean? She just takes to it. So genes, yes, those are a very powerful thing. Now, the thing about it with me is that my mother just played around with the sax, and that's about as far as musical inclination goes in my family. However, in order to deal with, in many ways for me, in order to deal with the trauma that I was going through when I was younger, I cling to music very immensely. So there was probably something in me that changed because I cling to that. And whatever happened in that changed, I probably passed that along to my daughter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
right, but that's not. But that
right.
Right, but I think we're going into the weeds here. It's like, but that's a good thing.
Right,
like you gravitated towards music to escape trauma. I gravitated to certain things to escape trauma. However, being musically inclined is a good thing. You pass that down to your daughter, right? Your daughter is not, but your daughter's not brooding and intense. She's a very happy spirit, right?
She is very, and I'm glad she did not get that from me.
Right. So I'm saying, again, with athletes, football players are brutes. Do not a lot of their sons become athletes as well, right? Yes. Their sons are also brutes. Now, is that nature or nurture? That's my question. So because then we're only saying art and trauma is passed down, but being inclined to violence or seeing someone or being a sociopath or seeing someone as less than you, that's not passed down?
Yeah.
Trauma is passed down.
No. I can see
talent is passed down, but that's not passed down.
No, I see your point, and I agree. However, I just want to say one thing. Some things can be passed down, but you just made a point, nature versus nurture. Something can be passed down to someone and lay dormant. And the environment they're in doesn't activate it. You know what I mean? And they just go through life calm. You know what I mean? However, that same person probably, if you put them in a different environment and a different narrative, that thing probably could set off, and then boom, you got Jeffrey Dahmer on your hands. So this is a shaky thing because yes, nature versus nurture does matter. That's a huge thing in itself.
So to Haran's point, I like, I love the ID channel. And this comes up a lot, right? So it's actually, the answer is actually both. Okay.
Mhm.
There are some that it's passed down that they're born. There are some that is created, but then the gray area sometimes, right, is what Haran said, that they put them in a certain situation. For instance, we'll see somebody get money and they be like, oh, he changed. No, the situation changed and it ignited something
Right.
that is already in them. Same thing as an addict, right?
Mhm.
That's been passed down to me,
Mhm.
right? If I never touched the shit, I would have never known. But the moment I touch it, that gene gets activated. And same thing they're starting to see with cancers, right? Those genes are lie dormant, but then if you start smoking cigarettes, boom, it's going to ignite it. Or
Mhm.
eating certain foods, it's going to ignite it.
Mhm.
So yes, the answer is actually both to that answer, to that question.
I was gonna
They
say
are
too with like comorbidities as well, and then like certain races being more what's the
athletic
word?
and
Well, not necessarily like that sort of thing. So like the only example I can think of right now, so like oh my goodness. So like people from like Asia, a lot of them don't have a very good tolerance for like lactose and like milk and stuff, just
Mhm.
because of the culture and the way their society is.
Mhm.
And then you know, there are, you know, things like high blood pressure that are, you know, go through different communities as well. I want to say it's like Latino, but I honestly don't know. But
Mhm.
these things could be like this makes a lot of sense to me because like, you know, if it's years and years and years of compound stress where, you know, you would be getting stress related diseases or, you know,
Mhm.
whatever. And then, you know, that doesn't, like if it's compounding, then it would be there for so long that it would potentially be genetic, right? So
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, and I just, again, it's just a theory I have. Thank you so much for the super chat. Fahim Jackson says bloodlines consist of groups in old countries, some war tribes and some peaceful. Having all these different groups in us may cause this violence. Finnish aren't violent, but Vikings were. Yeah, it's just a theory I have because I'm like, I see certain things, like certain behaviors, and I'm like, well, that was fucking bizarre. So I'm just like, if you were consistently born into, a certain race that did a certain thing consistently, and you're being raised in that, and your brain does your brain wire to this is what we do, this is how we are? Because I hear about some crimes, and I'm like, where did that come from? Like, what is
Mhm.
are people born sociopaths? Are people born psychopaths? Are we, but it's a, there's so many freaking, um, that's so layered. It's super duper layered. With that said, we're going to close, guys. This was a great conversation again. Neve, thank you so much. Mikasa
Yeah,
Sukasa, come up whenever you like.
thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So good night. Block, fall back for a minute. And thank you for the super chat, Fahim Jackson. Thank you for holding me down, chat. Thank you for everyone that came through. Come back tomorrow. We got some more sauce for you tomorrow. Hit that like and subscribe on your way out for mama. Don't forget, you can support the show if you enjoyed it on the Block with Jen Cash app. Good night, guys.